All right, perfect. Well, what's up, my fellow nerds? Coach Jim here, and you are sitting in as part of the webinar for 7 no-scale signs that your exercise and nutrition habits are working. Show me the progress. We're going to have a lot of fun today. So as people are coming on in, feel free to let me know where you're coming in from, where you're watching from. And since this is the spring series, I'm really just kind of curious, what are some of your favorite springtime activities? The weather is changing, hopefully getting better for you right now, a little bit warmer, a little bit sunnier. What do you like to do? As you are filtering in as well too, if you have not grabbed it already, the worksheet link is at the top of the video description, so you can click there, open it up. We'll be filling it in as we go through this webinar. So again, make sure you've got the worksheet link. With that worksheet link, you can either print it out and fill it out with a pen and, or pencil, or of course you can fill it in right on your computer. There are editable boxes in there. So cool. We got hiking and running. Someone coming in from Nova Scotia. Fantastic. Lots of walking. I love it. Yes, absolutely. When it's just warmer weather, I like to get outside, I like to move around. I've got a lot of good spots to hike and walk around here as well too. So really, really cool on that one. Candy says it's already too hot for a spring. I understand that there's some sort of spikes in temperature in some places. So awesome. So I'm going to share my screen. We're going to get started right up. If at any time, of course, you've got any questions, please feel free to leave them in the chat. Also, if there's any sort of disruption in the feed at all, know that you can watch this live stream later on. There will be a replay. This will be pinned to the top of the Facebook page. So don't worry if your internet connection goes in and out. Again, you'll still be able to get the information a little bit later, even if you miss a spot or two. So, all right, I'm going to get everything set up, share my screen. Always so much to do. All right, perfect. All right, we're good to go now. So again, we are here for Show Me the Progress, 7 no-scale signs that your exercise and nutrition habits are working. We put together this webinar because we've heard time and time again that people are just really kind of not sure if all the work that they're doing is actually doing something. And it's honestly quite frustrating to put all this work in and not really be sure if it's doing anything. So before we jump into that though, I'd like to reintroduce myself. If you have not met me before, my name is Jim. I've been helping people level up and feel better with Nerd Fitness for over 7 years now, 7 years. Pretty incredible. Before that, I got people strong and anti-fragile in person for over a decade. So I've been in the fitness industry almost 2 decades now. I absolutely love it. Hopefully you can hear that in my voice throughout this webinar and anytime I go live, but it is just an absolute blast to be able to help people on their fitness and nutrition journeys and share this information with you. I like hitting PRs on the dance floor and I like making a fool of myself. Oh, I'm sorry. I always switch that up. I like hitting PRs on the gym floor, not dancing there, and making a fool of myself on the dance floor. So again, clearly very physical in pretty much everything I do. All right. So you are in the right place if you haven't seen progress or plateaued in weight loss despite eating healthy and exercising. Okay. So this is one common complaint that we hear time and time again. You're also in the right place if you feel stuck in the yo-yo weight loss cycle. So we'll talk a little bit about that in terms of, if the scale is the only driving factor for you, sometimes that's not really good for the long term. And you're in the right place if you want to get in shape without focusing on the scale. I know a lot of people, again, it's a very triggering way to measure progress. It's something that just ruins their day, quite honestly. So again, we'll show you a lot of different ways to measure success, to measure progress without the scale in regards to that. We will have, as we've talked about leading up to the webinar, we will have a bonus training at the very end for weigh-in mistakes. So you can stick around for that if you'd like. But again, you'll learn plenty before that bonus training at the end. So here's what you'll learn today: how to set expectations correctly so you know if you're really progressing or not. You'll learn real signs of progress so that you can stay motivated and consistent even during tough times. And I think this is the biggest thing because, again, people use that scale time and time again as their only sign of progress. So of course they're going to feel not too good if it doesn't really say what they wanted to say. So we'll talk about, again, a lot of different signs of progress that you can remind yourself of. There are legitimate signs of progress. And that, again, just helps you go through much tougher times. And it also motivates you a lot sooner than the scale ever will. And you'll learn how to break free of the scale so that it doesn't frustrate you and derail your efforts. If the scale and your weighing is only one marker of progress and you've got 7 others past that, the scale is not the make or break for the day. So again, this is what we'll learn today. We'll go over a lot. It'll be a lot of fun. this training is not for you if you've never plateaued when getting in shape, okay? Obviously a little tongue in cheek here. This training is also not for you if you like losing and gaining the same weight over and over again. Again, that yo-yo dieting, that yo-yo weight loss can be very, very frustrating. A lot of times we see that that's a matter because of people only having the scale as their driving force. And this training is not for you if you like obsessing over the scale and every fluctuation. Hopefully that's not you as well right now, because again, we'll talk about ways to break out of that. All right, so you got your worksheet. The other thing that we have in the video description that I will talk about throughout and at the end, we are going over a lot of great info, and we're going to have some prizes and surprises throughout this whole webinar. So just a little thank you for watching. We will have 5 live stream prizes. So you right now, if you're watching this live, congratulations. We will have a couple of questions. You'll answer them in the comments live. I will go back later on and pick a winner in terms of who answered first correctly. So that'll be a lot of fun. Take a look for that. We're also going to have 2 special bonuses at the end. So again, just a thank you for coming and joining us on this webinar. So that will be a lot of fun that I'll announce later. And then even if you're not watching live, we will have 2 grand prizes you can earn. So if this is just, you're watching it on a replay, that's totally fine. Watch all the information, soak it all up. And then again, there'll be 2 grand prizes that you can earn, and I'll go over the details for that later. So lots of stuff today, a lot of fun. And again, can't wait to get started. But first, proper expectations, okay? I'll talk a little bit about proper expectations, where people's mindset is in regards to this, and what we can really kind of think about and how to get through some things. So in terms of the rate of weight loss, I'm going to talk about in the bonus weight loss, in the weigh-in bonus training. That's another marker that can be sometimes triggering for people in terms of talking about weight and whatnot. So again, that is coming in the future. But right now, what we're going to be talking about, we're going to be talking about overall expectations and the dreaded valley of disappointment. So this might have been something you've heard about, maybe not. But again, it's something that just about everyone who has ever started any sort of endeavor usually hits this valley of disappointment. So what is it? The valley of disappointment is when the amount of energy you are putting in feels much higher than the results you're getting out, okay? Raise your hand if you've ever felt that, if you've ever been stuck in this valley. So if you take a look at this graph, you as the little person with the shield and sword, as you start any sort of effort, again, getting in shape, losing weight, whatever it might be, you think that the results are going to go up along that green line, along that straight line, right up from the origin, okay? And again, why not? You know, you're doing a lot of work, you're making a lot of changes, but so many times when you do make changes, when you are starting on your weight loss journey or muscle gain journey or whatever your goal is, any goal in life, quite honestly, the results don't immediately take off like that. What they usually tend to look like is a little bit more of an exponential curve. So instead of that straight line straight out of the origin, they're a little slower, and then it picks up steam and it picks up momentum. So in terms of this, it's sort of like if I was looking to melt an ice cube, if I had an ice cube in a freezer and it's sitting there and it's well below 32 Fahrenheit or 0 degrees Celsius, if I start turning up the temperature in that freezer degree by degree, and I look at that ice cube, that's not doing anything. I'm doing so much. I'm changing, the dial on the thermostat, and that ice cube's not doing anything. What's happening is that line right there. You are building up things, you are changing things, but it might take a bit of time until you see the results that you're expecting, that you're hoping for. So that time when you're like, I'm putting in work, but I'm not seeing that ice cube melting, I'm not seeing, weight loss, I'm not seeing whatever it might be, that's where we get stuck in that valley of disappointment, where we're just like, hey, you know what? Clearly, whatever I'm doing is not working. So I better give up, or I better change gears to do whatever it might be. So that valley of disappointment can really derail people from the very beginning. But so it's important to be aware of it, first of all, in terms of how we get stuck in and what it all means. So as I've mentioned before there, you're putting in so much work, but some progress takes time. So again, if you are getting stronger, if you are building, if you're going through weight loss, it might take a little bit of time for things to catch up, for that ice cube to, hypothetically melt. And as I mentioned, if you're only using the scale as a measure of progress, then you end up sitting in a state of constant failure. So listen to that again. If you're only using the scale as a measure of progress, you sit in a state of constant failure. So if I wake up and it's my goal to lose 10 pounds, 20 pounds, whatever it might be, I wake up, have I lost 10 or 20 pounds? No. Oh, darn. Well, I guess I'll do my work next day. Have I lost my 10 or 20 pounds? No. Maybe I've lost a pound or two, whatever, but I still haven't hit my goal. And you're living in that constant state of not being able to celebrate that goal, that victory of I've lost 10 pounds, I've lost 20 pounds, whatever it might be. That's a really hard place to sit in. That's a really hard place to only be judging success and only be really kind of picking up your mood and your spirits by, again, what's on the scale. So, of course, that's why we're here today, seeing some other ways that you can measure progress that aren't tied to the scale, that aren't keeping us in that constant state of failure. Now, signs of progress not related to scale, as I'm kind of alluding to, they show themselves much sooner. So as we go through the 7 different signs, you'll be like, oh yeah, maybe I started last week, last month, a couple months ago, and I've already started to see those signs. And that's a really important thing, right? If we're going through the valley of disappointment and we can actually, mark some victories off, some signs of progress, that's fantastic. That means keep on going, okay? They're going to motivate you, okay? Those signs that show up immediately that we're going through today, they're going to motivate you to keep going through that valley and keep you going long after you hit any goal weight. That's the other downfall as well too. And what also tends to happen with a lot of yo-yo dieting is that people set up a goal. I'm going to lose 10 pounds, 20 pounds, 30 pounds. Maybe it's for a special event. Maybe they just want to hit a certain number. And then when they hit that number, what's the motivation past that? A lot of times there's nothing. So then, oh, you know what? I'm really not going to, push anymore to that number. Or maybe they were pushing a really unsustainable weight loss plan or whatever it might be. Whereas if you've got other markers of progress that, again, we're going over, then that's something that, hey, you might go and you hit your goal weight, but then you're going to keep on going. You're going to keep the habits going because there's so many other things that you're celebrating, so many other things that you're progressing with. So really important to do that. So the scale is a tool, but using it as the only tool, it can be a big problem. Show me the non-scale signs of progress. You knew this reference was coming. I won't have any references past 1996. Just kidding. So sign number 1, and you can pull out your worksheet if you like, fill in the first line. Sign number 1 is increased consistency, okay? So again, this has nothing to do with the scale, whether you've gained 5 pounds, lost 10 pounds, whatever it might be. Are you doing something more often, more consistently? So you're doing X habit more often. That's pretty much what that first sign is. So are you working out more often? And that might be, I was working out once a week and now I'm working out twice a week. That could be, I was doing no workouts and now I'm walking 5 minutes a week, a day, whatever it might be. Just something that's a little bit more often than what you did before. So that's something that you can clearly see, right? Again, we're not saying you're hitting PRs in the workouts. We're not saying that, again, we're losing this amount of weight, we're doing this or that. But the fact that we have actually started changing our habit and increasing something, that is really, really important. It might also come in nutrition. So maybe you're getting fruits or veggies in more meals. So that's another great one to work on as well too. And you can see already, I'm talking about nutrition, but I'm talking about something that's additive. I'm not saying, oh, you know what, did you cut out this? Did you cut out that? No, did you get some more stuff in? Did you increase the consistency and the frequency of having a fruit or a piece of or a vegetable with every meal? So again, another really important one. Or maybe, again, you're meditating more often or journaling or doing some other sort of stress reduction technique. Again, that's another great thing to be able to focus on and be able to increase that, again, can start taking you to a lot of different goals. The author James Clear said, making time for self-care is the most important thing. You have to standardize before you can optimize. And now, how many of us have started something and think we have to do it perfectly from the very beginning, right? Like, okay, I'm starting my workout routine and I downloaded this, workout off the internet and I have to do an hour of it. Oh, I didn't do an hour. Well, I won't do it. I'll start next week. Oh, you know what? I tried to do a half an hour of it and I was too tired. You know what? I'm just going to give up. So again, what we're actually doing is not important as much as are we doing something and are we doing it consistently? So celebrate those victories. Doesn't matter if you're doing, hour workout, 5 minutes, whatever it might be. Are you doing it more consistently? So really, really important thing to remember. All right, we're up on the first live stream prize question. Okay, so get your fingers ready. Which James Clear book mentions nerd fitness? Comment in the comments of this live stream. I will take a look later on and see who answers correctly first. And again, we will move on to the next section. Okay, so type on super quick. I see a couple things coming in already. Fantastic. Yep. Now, in terms of these non-scale victories, we had some great posts recently in the community that I'm going to be sharing throughout this webinar. And this was one that jumped out at me, of course, where they mentioned building good habits that are finally sticking. And that's what it's about, right? Again, is this related to, oh, I'm doing this habit and I've lost this amount of weight? I mean, maybe it'll eventually lead to that, but the fact that there's some sort of habit and we've increased the consistency and it's actually sticking, this is the win. This is the sign of progress. And this is something, again, you might see this from, first week. You know what? I wasn't working out at all this past week, past month, or whatever it might be. That's fine. But now I did my first walk. I did, my first gym workout. I'm working out twice a week instead of one time a week, whatever it might be. This is progress that you can see immediately, which is fantastic. So you can go back to your worksheet as well, too. We've got the other section of, again, in the sign one. Take a look and think about it right now. I'll give you a little minute to type in as I'm kind of talking through things. But which habits have you increased? Maybe it's recently, maybe you just increased something the past week or two. Maybe it's something that you've increased, a month or two ago when you started some workout plan or whatever it might be. But what habits have you increased and by how much? So again, just take stock in that. And you remember as well, too, as I was going through examples of habits, there might be something in the workouts that you've adjusted and changed and increased consistency. Myself personally, I've been walking a lot more just over this past week or two, which was great. And, maybe it's something with nutrition. You're eating certain foods more or whatever it might be. You're drinking more water. You'll see me drinking water throughout this webinar. Or again, maybe it's a stress reduction technique. That's another really important thing. I'll talk a little bit about that later. But again, think about and take stock in which habits you've increased. Doesn't matter how you did in the habit, but are you doing it more often? Absolutely, yeah. I'm seeing some comments. Candy says drinking more tea counts. Yeah, we're getting more hydrate, more water, more fluids. That's fantastic. All this stuff is great. I'm seeing more steps a day. Fantastic. Walking outside daily. Again, especially if the weather's a bit nicer now. I think a lot of people's walking has been increasing lately. Again, that's fantastic. That is progress. Take stock in that and celebrate it. All right, on to sign two. Sign two is things feel more natural with less thought and effort. Okay, now what does that mean? You might get a kind of hint of it, but we hear time and time again, okay, that many people don't want to have to think about getting in shape, right? And raise your hand, feel free to comment in the comment section of, do you ever feel like, you know what, my workouts, my nutrition, whatever I'm doing, it feels like it takes up so much mental bandwidth. Like I am, trying to do these walks and I'm drinking this water and I'm having this vegetable. But, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm just thinking about it all the time. When you first start off on a habit, it might feel a bit like that. It might feel like that because you are building a new neural pathway. You are, again, setting up a new habit, and it's going to take a bit of repetition before it starts to feel more natural. But when it starts doing that, when it starts feeling more natural, when you're like, oh, hey, you know what? I was drinking water and I didn't even think about it. That's great. Or, you know what? I picked up, some fruits and vegetables from the supermarket. I didn't really used to do that before, but I just did it naturally. Or again, I did some stretching in between, work calls, or I, did some exercises. And again, it feels just like a natural part of your day. That is progress. That is fantastic because again, it's starting to be automatic, which is a really, really powerful thing because it'll just carry itself along. So your habits start to become a lifestyle, okay? It's not just like I am going to do this. It's like, no, this is who I am. I'm someone who wakes up and goes for a walk to start the day, or I'm someone who's drinking water at their desk so that they can stay hydrated. Your habits start to become a lifestyle instead of a temporary, unsustainable diet. Now, again, nothing wrong if we need to switch on to diets every so often, but so many times people tend to do only that. They tend to go on and off, yo-yo, and whatnot with diets, whereas building those habits and really integrating them into your day-to-day, into your lifestyle can be a lot more sustainable, a lot less stressful, quite honestly, as well, too. So this is the next sign of progress. So this was another great post from the community. They said, I find myself offering to run errands because it means more time on my bike. And now I think of myself as a biker. So again, back to that whole, like a lifestyle, it's like your lifestyle, it's your identity of, hey, this is just who I am. This is what I do because again, this is who I am. This is fantastic. And it was great to see this a victory. So for this person, it was a much different message than what I was believing before. So again, you can see that they just shifted the way they thought about themselves. They're not thinking about it as much. They're just like, oh yeah, of course I'm going to take my bike to do this errand or offer to do, this errand or whatnot because I am a biker. So with that, in terms of things that feel more natural, what have you noticed? Or perhaps what have you not noticed? What have you caught yourself saying, oh yeah, I guess I I did this action and I didn't even really think about it. So as it starts becoming more on autopilot, that's really good because then that frees up some of our mental bandwidth to maybe tackle another habit or focus on something else. So really, really great sign of progress. This is one that's a little bit harder to see sometimes because, again, you don't think about it, quite honestly, but another really, really solid one. So take your worksheet, write down any sort of notes that you have on this one, and we will move on to the next sign. Sign 3, we return to the plan faster and go off the plan less. So again, you're focusing on increasing some sort of habits, changing some sort of way that you're working out or eating or whatever it might be. With that, with any sort of plan that we set up, again, I'm not sure if there's any professional athletes on the call, any sort of Olympic athletes living in a Olympic village, getting everything taken care of, but most of us have to deal with some sort of life. There will always be challenges. So we think weight loss many times would just be a nice downward trajectory. The little stick person is surfing down there, having fun. But we obviously know that's not how it actually works, right? It tends to be a bit of a Ninja Warrior obstacle course as they're going through in the second panel. There's always going to be challenges because it's called life, right? Again, that's not a reason not to try to enact the plan and not to have intentions, but just understand that things will go awry. But a sign of progress is if you bounce back faster from them. I've heard this time and time again from clients where, again, especially through the holidays, they'll go on the holiday break and yeah, maybe for a couple of days, a week or whatever it might be, they're traveling, they're, seeing family. There's just a lot of stress, a lot of activities, and maybe they don't work out, or maybe their workout is, reduced. They might be eating different foods, but then that, week of a holiday, that might have thrown them off for another, month, 2 months, whatever, past that till New Year's or, Valentine's Day. But now it's like, oh, I'm going to have that stressful week, but then I'm going to get back into it a lot sooner. So that is progress. That sounds kind of funny, right? It sounds kind of funny just to say, but like, I went off my plan. I didn't do what I was supposed to do, but you got back to it. Whereas traditionally you might have, just left the gym and not gone back for a couple months. So bouncing back faster from these challenges from life is a sign of progress, a very important one. And we can also navigate the challenges better as well too. So again, there's certain stresses we all take. Some people have, their life on higher difficulty mode, as it were, if they've got a lot of kids or a stressful job or they travel a lot or whatever it might be. But a sign of progress would be, hey, you know what? There's this life coming at me. There are these challenges coming at me, and I've figured out ways to navigate them a little bit better. So even if I, have a lot of kids obligations, I'm still, again, adding water to my routine. Even if I'm traveling around a lot, I'm still figuring out ways to, get in travel workouts. So again, it's not about being perfect. It's just a matter of, are we able to be just a little more resilient in this case? We've got the mantra in Nerd Fitness, never 2 in a row. Always a good one to think about. So if you miss a workout, you know what? No big deal. Do it tomorrow. Okay. So get right back to it. We're trying not to miss 2 workouts in a row. Of course, again, that might stretch out for a couple more days or whatever it might be. But the point being is we're trying to get back into the swing of things as soon as possible. You have an indulgent meal. Cool. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope it was a good time, but no big deal. Focus on the next one. Okay. Oh, you know what? I was supposed to, get a fruit or vegetable, but I went out with some friends for pizza. Hey, cool. No problem. What's the next meal look like? What's the breakfast look like the next day? Just get back to it, okay? Don't beat yourself up over it. Just get back to it, and getting back faster and not just kind of, burning everything into the ground is a sign of progress. This is another thing. And again, raise your hand if you've been in the situation where weekend comes. Maybe you've got the intention to eat healthy all weekend, and then Friday again, your friend calls you out for beers, pizza, whatever it might be. You have those beers and pizza. You know what? Forget it. I'm just going to start anew on Monday. I'm just going to have whatever I want for the next couple of days. So maybe that was the old you, but with progress in the new you, maybe you go out for those beers and pizza. Cool. You can have a great time. And then the next day, that Saturday, you start back up. You say, hey, you know what? I'm going to have my my breakfast that's on plan. I'm going to walk around and get my workout in, whatever it might be. So again, stepping back into the plan and being derailed by it a little less often, that is a sign of progress and a really important one. So Back to the worksheet. Again, think about it yourself. And again, this might take a little more time to think about, but what was a recent challenge that maybe you had? Okay. Something that kind of threw you for a loop. And how did you handle it? Now, if you don't feel like you handled it the best way right now, don't worry about it. Don't beat yourself up over it. Just take stock in it and kind of take note of it. If you did have a recent challenge and you faced it in a different way than you normally do, feel free to share in the comments, because again, I would love to hear that as well too. But again, that ability to just face challenges in a slightly different way, that is a definite sign of progress. I see too many Last Suppers. I'm going to read through the comments later. All of you are always hilarious. All right, so on to the next sign. Sign 4, clothes fit differently. Okay. Now I'm going to put an asterisk on this one. If this is already kind of triggering to you, don't obsess about it. But again, I'll talk a little bit about how this can be a sign that, again, is still separate from the scale. So the weight might go up, or it might even stay the same, but your clothes fit differently. So there might be clothes that you're wearing on a regular basis, something for work, of course, it might be something, or, something for a special event, but they feel a little bit differently. So they might be looser in some areas. So if they're a little looser in the midsection, or of course you're pulling the belt a little bit tighter, that's definitely a sign. You don't need to get on the scale to know that something's a little bit different there. Or it might be tighter in some areas. So again, if you're lifting weights, you're getting strong, you're building some muscle, maybe it's a little tighter in your shoulders. Maybe it's a little tighter in your lats is another big one I've seen time and time again when people are doing a lot of chin-up work. Maybe it's tighter in the glutes. So midsection is a little bit looser, but in the pants feel a little bit tighter in the bottom. So all of that is a sign of progress, that something's happening, something is changing, even if the scale is not quite reflecting that. So again, something to also, just with all these, it's not one marker to take in isolation. You compare it to everything else that you're doing, and it can tell you if something is working or not. Now, again, as I mentioned, if this measure of progress, because again, sometimes these measures of progress that are directly related to our body, they can be triggering, right? I want to fit into this dress. I want to fit into this suit. You put it on and it's tight. Again, if that is one of your markers of progress and just kind of sets you off, then don't use it as a marker of progress. We've already got 6 other ones that we can use. So don't use this one, skip it, go on to the next ones, just scratch it on your worksheet if needed. All right, prize question. So next one, get your fingers ready for typing. I'd be surprised if someone knows this off the bat, but I found it pretty interesting. Speaking of clothes, what real life profession inspired so many superheroes to be drawn with spandex? So when they're drawing up Superman and all them, and of course they're all in spandex, what real life profession back in that day inspired so many of the superheroes to be drawn that way? Okay, so maybe you can Google the answer super quick, or just take a quick guess in the comment section. But again, this is the next prize, live stream prize. So give your best guess, fill out your worksheets if you're not sure, and we will give you a minute or two for that. Grab some water if you need it. Awesome. A lot of good guesses there. Cool. So again, keep on guessing, fill in your worksheet, and we will move on to the community win for this one that I saw. This is another person in the community that recently shared a win that they said their clothes are fitting better, or worse, that they get too big if they're getting too big and not fitting correctly. They've lost, again, this is fantastic, 40 to 45 pounds since last June. And they've got a job where I wear a tie semi-regularly. I noticed that as I dropped weight, my neck became smaller. My dress shirts fit better around the neck, and it became way more comfortable to dress up for work when I needed to. So these are things that, again, even if they hadn't jumped on the scale and knew that they lost 40 to 45 pounds, if you're buttoning a shirt, you're like, oh, no, this feels a little bit better, or again, something about the clothes that you wear on a regular basis feel a little bit different. This is a sign of progress that, again, is completely independent of the scale. So if there's anything that you've noticed, feel free to write it down in your worksheet, but it's okay if it's not. Okay. Again, I don't want this to be a detrimental marker of progress. All right. Sign 5. We are ripping through it, doing great. Improved mood, energy, and sleep, and less stress. All these really, really important. This is one I see a lot from people in the community with my clients. And it's absolutely fantastic to see, because again, this is something that can present itself much, much sooner than any sort of loss on the scale. So improved mood, energy, and sleep, along with less stress. And you just feel more resilient. You just feel better, And again, doesn't matter if you've gained weight, lost weight, stayed the same. If you're just feeling a bit better like that, that is really motivating. That's really empowering to feel that way. This is from one of my coaching clients, actually. I'm sore the next day, but man, I am sleeping through the night. So that was great. Again, in terms of just obviously some of the adjustments that we made to the program here was great because it's improving their sleep. So again, fantastic to do and fantastic to see that change. This is from my my client, Christina. So Christina, a quick little bio with it. She had multiple failed attempts at weight loss. So, and she's trying to do it herself. Again, just wasn't quite able to do it. A lot of negative self-talk as well, too. So we've had a lot of different talks and webinars about this, but she had a lot of negative self-talk when she was going at it herself. And she also had a lot of yo-yo dieting. So this was all something that was, again, really challenging to her before she stepped into Nerd Fitness coaching. But afterwards, again, big change in terms of how she talked to herself, in terms of what she did, in terms of other markers of progress. Yes, obviously you can see from the side-by-side comparison, she's lost weight, but it's so much more than that. It was, again, you can see from the quote I have, I realize that exercise is something I'm lucky to be able to do. It's something that feels good and makes me feel good, okay? I can now snowboard, I can hike, I can walk through downtown Boulder without open mouth breathing. I can do things I want to do, even if they're hard, without beating myself up. So again, in no time was it, I lost this amount of weight, I feel better because the scale says this. No, it's like, what am I able to do that wasn't connected to the scale? So Christina, again, a lot of hard work there, super cool. And again, she was able to do that in the Nerd Fitness coaching program. Other things you might notice with this sign, just to kind of give you some prompts. Again, with the energy, you might have less afternoon slumps. So if you're like, you know what? I have been feeling a lot better around 2 or 3 o'clock whenever those things hit. Again, that's a good sign of progress. And that's another one that you might not necessarily be able to tell unless you kind of take stock in it. You're like, yeah, I guess I haven't been having the extra cup of coffee usually, or I haven't needed the nap like I usually do. So that might be another sign of that progress there. Less emotional roller coasters. So again, exercise has been shown time and time again to help with mood. Now, again, there's nothing wrong if your mood does fluctuate. That's perfectly normal. But maybe you look back and go, you know what? The situation that I just went through, that might have really set me for a loop before. And now I feel just a little more even keeled. So again, just some prompts to think about as you're filling out your worksheet, as you're taking note of your markers of progress. All right, prize question. Speaking of roller coasters, what state opened the first roller coaster in America? So sorry for people that are, I don't know if even if you're in America, you know this off the top of your head, unless you grew up in the area. And apologies for anyone out of America, but you can just Google real quick if you want. But what state opened the first roller coaster in America? Cool. I'm already seeing some good guesses for sure. So, all right. Grab some water if you need it, of course, and fill out your worksheet with that last sign. We're going to talk about another community win that we saw. This is another great one I wanted to share. This community member, this nerd, said so many things in terms of their non-scale victories, but I think my biggest is the way my body feels. I feel more comfortable in it. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that sign of progress in a second. I feel less sluggish in the mornings and less pain than before. So you can see, again, it's not I lost this weight, I'm now, X number of pounds, whatever. It's how am I feeling? And you know what? I'm just feeling better. And that's so good. And that's something that so many people discount when, again, they haven't hit the number that they have in their head. So when have you noticed a change? Again, you might have noticed something when you wake up in the morning. I slept a lot better than I normally do. Or again, the afternoon slumps, you know what? I'm not really having them as often, or whatever it might be. So take stock in that, see what's kind of changed and put it down on your worksheet. All right, ripping through sign number 6. So this is one that hopefully maybe was one of the first things that came to mind. And I have a lot of examples later from the community. And again, fantastic to read these. But sign number 6 of progress, increased strength, increased endurance, and increased flexibility. So all those markers, those physical markers of what my body can do. Again, regardless of what the scale is saying, am I getting stronger? Am I getting more capable in some way, shape, or form? This is all about learning what our bodies can do inside and outside the gym. Okay. So of course there's, I put another 5 pounds in the bar. That's great. But also take note of when some sort of activity in your day-to-day life feels better, feels easier. Okay. And learning what our bodies can do, it's much more empowering than a number on a scale. So again, going back to what I talked about before about sort of the yo-yo dieting, if you only have that number as your goal, you hit that number, and then okay, yeah, what's really kind of driving me past that? Whereas if you are focusing on, hey, I'm going to get stronger. Yeah, I'm losing weight, but I'm getting stronger, and I'm learning this skill, and I'm maybe I've got like a hiking adventure, whatever it might be. That's going to keep you going. You'll hit your goal number, and then you'll just keep on going. You'll say, hey, you know what? I'm having so much fun. Just like with Christina mentioned, that she's able to do all these things. She's able to snowboard. She's able to hike. She's able to go around, without feeling winded. So again, this is one of I think the biggest markers of progress to really kind of hang your hat on is really learning what your body can do. Emily is a great example as well too. So she's got a lot of great points that I'll go through. First off, her mindset and what she talked about stepping into the neurofitness coaching program is she realized that she really had to cut herself some slack and try again. So time and time again, we talk down to ourselves. If we do have challenges and problems, if we run into life, we get so frustrated. But it's okay to, again, relax, cut yourself some slack, and get right back to it. Again, never 2 in a row. Just because you had pizza on a Friday doesn't mean we just have to, forget it. I'm going to start over on Monday. So super important there with the mindset. She reached out for help as well too. I think it's another thing. Time and time again, if you are stuck, if you are having issues, if you're not quite sure, you know what? I think I'm getting some of this stuff, together, but I'm really not quite sure if I've got all the pieces fitting together. She realized, she's like, you know what? A little bit of help, a little bit of expertise will help. So she reached out to Neurofitness Coaching. And then you'll see in the next slide as well too, she just wanted to see what she was capable of. So as she joined coaching, you can see, again, we'll see side-by-side progress with the weight loss, but it's so much more than that. She got that, but then she's like, okay, I've hit this goal weight. What other dragons can I slay? So I love these 2 gifts right here. She's working her pull-ups, working handstands. And again, I've changed my body. I've lost this amount of weight. I'm moving around differently now. Now, what can I do with it? Like, how can I apply that in some sort of, positive manner, positive way? So super cool to see Emily's progress here. Super cool to see what she's been up to in that regard. So again, that's in the gym. Again, we talked about that, workouts in the gym, but you also might feel able to jump into any activity easier without worrying, can I handle this, right? So maybe in the past, before you started working out, or maybe, if you were off your workout program, you might think to yourself, ooh, you know what? Somebody asked me to do something, whether it's a big adventure or small. And you might think, you know what? I'm not sure if I can do this. I'm not sure if I'm able to do this. And that hesitation, it hurts. It's really, it feels really bad when you have to kind of question whether you can do something. We call this, in terms of just being able to jump in something without worrying, we call it health wealth. So health wealth is the concept of investing in yourself through the workouts, through the nutrition, so that you can spend it on any adventure. So you have essentially money, physical money as it were, or whatever, not physical money. You have abilities in the bank, so that if someone does ask you to do something, whether it's a last minute hike, whether it's help them move or whatever it might be, you're not thinking to yourself, can I handle this? Because again, you've had this increase of strength, mobility, all these things like that. Your physical capacity is increased. So you're not able, you don't have to hesitate if someone asks you for an adventure. So activities and adventure, like playing with your kids. So if you've got kids and they're asking you to get down on the ground and play trucks or run around and kick a soccer ball or whatever, it's really disheartening to be like, oh, you know what, I can't do this. My knees hurt. I can't really run around, or whatever it might be. So if you're able to increase your physical capacities in some way, shape, or form, that's really important. That means just a different way to be able to interact with your kid. If you're not able to right now, that doesn't mean you're a bad parent. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But if we're able to move around and just get a little more in shape, again, it just changes things. It changes things, and we don't have to hesitate. We don't have to worry if we can do it or not. Other activities as well too, about like carrying the groceries in for one trip. Again, if you shop at Costco and carry the groceries in on one trip, I do not want to mess with you in a dark alley. But again, something like that. Again, it's not something that is a workout. I mean, it's a workout, but it's not something that's a formal workout. but it's something that, again, it's just a day-to-day activity. And so, hey, you know what? I picked up all the groceries and I had no problem bringing them all into the house, whatever it might be. This might be another sign of progress that you see. And again, something else that should be celebrated. Shoveling snow, another one as well, too. Shoveling snow is tough. I know some of you are coming from very cold, very snowy conditions, and you probably had to shovel a couple feet of partly cloudy this past winter. If you're able to do that easier and you're not, oh, I'm going to throw my back out, am I going to, hurt my shoulder? If you're just able to get out there and shovel, your walk, maybe shovel the neighbor's walk who can't do that, that's really important. That's really valuable. So that measure of progress is, again, an adventure you can just jump into because you got that health wealth booked up. The other activity of adventure that I hear time and time again, always the dreaded, moving your suitcase through the airport on a plane. I've had enough of these suitcases on this plane. Props if you get the reference, but I hear time and time again, this is sort of a marker of progress that people don't realize unless they travel around a lot, but they might be working out, getting stronger, and then they take a trip. They're like, you know what? And I've heard this so many times. They're like, I was able to pick up my suitcase and put in the overhead bin so much easier. Because again, they might not have done that specific activity for months, depending on their travel schedule, but now they can do it easily. And that's a measure of progress. That's awesome. And it feels much, much better to be able to do that easily than struggle with it or whatever it might be. So again, great marker of progress. Again, look how you're getting stronger inside the gym, but also look how your workouts, but also look how you're getting stronger outside the gym in instances like this, moving suitcases around or what have you. All right. We have a lot of comments in the and examples in the comment thread already. Carrying big bags of salt, moving bags of pellets, clearing sand. Absolutely, yeah. Bigger bags of dog food. I'm sure your dog appreciates that, Cat, in terms of just, being able to move the stuff around. And yeah, you'll be able to see that. You're like, oh, you know what? I was moving just this before, and now I can do a lot more. So super helpful and a great measure of progress. All right, next live stream prize question. This is a good one. Name 3 superhero movies in which Samuel L. Jackson has appeared. Okay, so he was just complaining about suitcases in the last slide. Name 3 superhero movies in which he has appeared. Okay, and I will be a little bit loose in terms of the interpretation on that one, but write them on down as fast as you can in the comment section. Okay, I see a couple. Make sure you write 3 so that you are eligible for that live stream prize. All right, I'm going to move forward on the next slide. And again, as you're entering in your guests for the live stream prize, and as you are writing down your victories, I'll go over some of the ones that the community has recently shared, which again, I thought were just so fantastic. So again, this is another one in terms of just health, wealth, and that physical ability. Helped my 20-something daughter move, and after going up and down stairs, lifting and toting for a couple hours, she was exhausted, and I went for a 3-mile walk. That's amazing. And again, perfect example of, I never had to think about, could I actually do this? And not only were they able to help their daughter move, which again is very helpful, but they were able to just walk afterwards and feel fine when their daughter was feeling exhausted. So this is exactly what we're going for. And this is a clear measure of progress, which is fantastic. In terms of flexibility increases, next member said, my heels almost touched the floor in downward dog pose. For someone who has never been able to even touch their toes consistently, that is progress. Also, I can outwalk my dogs. They get tired first. I can also outwalk my dogs, but they're only 10 pounds. But again, you can see this again. It's not a matter of, what's my weight? What's the scale say? No, it's a matter of what can I do? And you know what? I was never able to touch my toes before, and now I can actually move, and I'm much more flexible. And it just opens up the door for a lot of different things. Another great share from the community. The weights on the bar for my last warm-up sets were max working set weights last quarter. So again, you go into the gym, you're putting weights on the bar, or you're picking up heavier dumbbells. That's a very clear, quantifiable sign of progress. But all these other ones are just as valid as well too. This is also another great one from someone. And again, remember what I said about these markers of progress. A lot of times, especially a lot of strength markers, they will appear a lot sooner than some sort of change in the scale. And this is, I think, a perfect example of this. I am newer and have only been at it since February, but the fact that I can do 3 sets of 10 push-ups, 4 sets of 10 squat and holds or split squats, and 3 sets of 40-second planks is amazing. I couldn't even do one of these when I started. So it's definitely exciting and rewarding when I can now knock them out with no issues. So again, you can see from the exclamation points and just the tone of the voice, again, it's exciting, it's empowering. And again, are they working? Maybe they're working toward weight gain, weight loss, whatever it might be, or maybe they're not working toward any sort of a weight change at all. But you can see already that even just starting in February, they're much more motivated and much more likely to continue because they're seeing progress in that regard. So with all these, hopefully that gave you enough time to take your worksheet and write down what victories you're celebrating. Feel free to drop them down into the comments as well too. Again, always love to read that. But again, this is one of those things. This is, I think, a really, really important one that we should look at time and time again in terms of a marker of progress. All right, now sign number 7, different relationship with food and with your body. So number 6 was all about what's this physical capacity that I can do? Can I increase my abilities? Sign number 7 is something that, again, is not to be understated. I put it 7 for a reason, because changing the relationship that you have with food, which can be very charged, I know for a lot of people, and the relationship you have with your body, that is incredibly, incredibly important. So much change starts with self-compassion. If being hard on yourself worked, it would have worked by now. So it doesn't. So try a different way. Try changing that relationship with your body. So if you are, again, able to notice that things have changed by how you talk to yourself, just any number of things like that, that is a very, very important change, very important marker of progress. It's not just about workout and nutrition, right? It's not about, oh, I have the perfect workout routine and I have the perfect nutritional plan. No, it's so much more than that, right? We know that. We absolutely know that. Our mind and emotions play a significant role here. So in terms of prompts for this one, progress might look like eating slower. Okay, so maybe it's one of those things that food makes you nervous and there's a lot of anxiety and you're just trying to eat it as fast as you can. Okay, and now you know what? I'm eating slower. I'm starting to enjoy it a little bit more. I'm just taking my time. That change, again, regardless of what the scale is saying, that is a change because you are changing how you're approaching food and your relationship with it. Enjoying your food, again, goes hand in hand a bit with that. A lot of times, we'll hear this time and time again that people will feel so guilty about foods that they eat that they are just, again, going fast through that. And maybe they get a little bit of satisfaction for it in the first 5 minutes, but then the next 5 or 10 or whatever, 20 minutes they're eating, they're not enjoying that food. But you know what? I'm actually enjoying my food more often, or I'm enjoying my food for the entire duration that I'm eating it. That is a huge, huge progress. Again, regardless of what the scale says. Feeling satisfied with the food instead of feeling overstuffed. So again, it's just a different relationship with food that, hey, you know what? I feel good. I feel at, a comfortable level. I'm not overeating in that regard. So, and then in terms of relationship with the body, loving your body, even if you want to change it. I think a lot of people, they think that is kind of at odds with each other, that I have to hate myself in order to be able to change. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Anyone can want to change, whether it's their body, their physical capacity, their, jobs, their, the relationship with someone else or whatever it might be. It doesn't mean they have to hate where they're at right now. And actually, if you try to kind of drive and motivate yourself through just self-hatred, it can be really, really hard because, again, that is a really, really hard place to be. As I mentioned earlier, being that state of constant failure, that constant, inner critic, no one wants to be there. So you're not going to continue doing whatever you want to do. So loving your body, even if you want to change it, really big sign of progress. And on the same note, hand in hand, practicing self-compassion for yourself, for your actions. So if you find yourself looking in the mirror, oh, I can't believe, this is this way or this looks that way, practice a little more self-compassion. And then, the self-compassion of your actions. Oh, I can't believe I ate this ice cream or whatever it might be. Again, it is a really hard place to be. It's a really hard place to beat yourself up. The go-to, and you've probably heard this from me before, which I always think is good, is in terms of how you talk to yourself. Would you talk the same way to a friend? Okay. If you wouldn't talk the same way to a friend, then try to change how you talk to yourself. All right. We are into the next prize here. So a lot of good stuff to think about there. Prize question. How long does it take for your brain to send the signal to your stomach that you're full? So some of you might know this answer already. Answer it in the comment section. this is a matter, again, in terms of just the importance of eating a little bit slower, taking your time, enjoying your food, because again, it takes a little bit of time for your brain to actually send that signal that things are full. So I see a lot of good answers in the comment section. I'm going to move on. And I'm going to talk a little bit about grand prizes. So that last prize question was the fifth live stream prize. And I'm talking about the eligibility for grand prizes. So again, whether you're watching this live right now or watching it in a replay, you are eligible for these grand prizes. What you'll have to do, first off, at the end of this webinar, after you've finished watching it, again, if you've only watched 7 signs, that's totally fine. If you watch the entire thing with the bonus training, also fine. In either case, whatever you watched, make a post in the Facebook group with the hashtag #RebellionLevelUp and share your aha moment from the webinar. I'm seeing a lot of great comments in the comment section, and it's really important, and we find it really valuable to hear what people find valuable from the webinar. And people, other community members will read that and they'll say, oh yeah, that was a great takeaway. Thanks for reminding me, or whatever it might be. So that is your first task for being eligible for the grand prizes. Making a post, Rebellion Level Up, share your Eureka moments. The next thing is to be on the lookout. Next week or two, be on the lookout for the hashtag Rebellion HW posts. So Rebellion homework posts from myself and other coaches. So we're going over all this stuff in the webinar. Hopefully you're filling out your worksheet, you're getting a lot of stuff done, and that is fantastic. But we want to follow up a couple days from now, a week from now, and see how you're doing. How have you taken some of these signs of progress and reminded yourself of them, applied them in some certain way, discovered a new one, whatever it might be. We want to be able to see how you're following up from this webinar. So you'll be on the lookout in the group for those Rebellion HW posts. And again, you can reply with that hashtag when we post them in the future. And again, that will make you eligible for the grand prizes as well too. Cool. All right, so these are some victories that we saw in regards to this relationship. Again, fantastic ones. I love to read things like this. One member wrote, becoming aware of my feelings and processing them without eating to cope with them. It's been such a powerful psychological shift to no longer binge eat. Now, this is a huge step in this regard. And again, as you're looking at yourself, it might not be sort of an on-off switch. It might be just, hey, you know what? Certain instances, of binge eating, maybe it's reduced. Okay, so we've increased frequency for various habits, but maybe we've reduced frequency with other habits. So again, huge measure of progress. Next victory shared was, my biggest NSV, which is non-scale victory, is learning how to motivate myself without using guilt or shame as the primary motivators. So again, changing the relationship with yourself, with your body, so that again, you're not just being hard on yourself and trying to drive yourself into action, because again, it just does not work. Or it might work short term, but no one can withstand that level of just negativity for the long haul. It's just no fun to be. So in your worksheet, think about how have things positively changed for you. Okay, so you can write it down in your worksheet. Think about the change in relationship with your food, with body, everything like that. Because again, this is not something. This is something that's really, really important and not something to be overlooked for sure. All right. Now, love the far side. We've packed your brain full of incredibly helpful information, if I do say so myself, but you might still find yourself struggling. Maybe today, maybe next week, whatever it might be, you might still find yourself struggling with not sticking to your plan long enough to see results. This is something that we see and we hear time and time again, that, you know what, I had a little bit of consistency, but I dropped off a little bit. I just need a little more consistency and accountability. So that might still be a struggle with you even after this webinar. Or not knowing if what you're doing is actually working and am I progressing? So we're talking over a lot of signs of progress, but again, there's a lot of different things here, and you still might not be sure if you're progressing toward your goals, or if you're working at the right plan and at the right actions to move forward with that. There also might still be a struggle with just not being able to kind of put the pieces together. We are going over so much right now. Watch this webinar, rewatch it as you need to, but there's so much information out there. So if it was easy, we all be on the same workout program. So you might still be having troubles with that, just kind of fitting everything together and making something that works for you and is sustainable. We totally understand. This is not something to be ashamed about. But I will say that a lot of times people tend to struggle because we see a lot of folks make the same mistake of focusing only on fitness and nutrition. So we talked a little bit about fitness and nutrition. We talked a little bit about mindset, but we think time and time again that, oh, you know what? I just need that perfect workout program. I just need that perfect nutrition program. And workout and nutrition are very important parts of any goals, any progress that we have, but they are not the complete picture here. Here at Nerd Fitness, we found that 4 pillars work really, really well together. Okay. So again, if you're only focusing on 2, you might be able to get some progress, but a lot of times you can still hit a lot of struggles. Now, in terms of Nerd Fitness, so our approach, yes, first off, of course, there's going to be fitness. There's going to be moving around, but we want to definitely make sure that the workout plans fit your unique goals, body, and schedule. Okay. I think a lot of times, sometimes people try to shoehorn themselves into some workout plans because they saw it online and maybe it's not the best thing for them. But here at Nerd Fitness, we want to find something that works best for you. And that might be completely different from someone else, even if you have the same goals, because again, there's always certain adjustments that we might need to take. With the fitness as well too, again, having fun with it as well too, without it maybe not taking your life over. So I know some people love going to the gym. Other people, it's just a means to an end. Just, help me move around and feel a little bit better. So that's how we feel at Nerd Fitness. Next part with the Nerd Fitness approach is non-dogmatic nutritional guidance. So instead of unrealistic diet plans that have us really overly restricting, yo-yo dieting, just not having fun on that one, we want to figure out ways to adjust your current eating intentions so that you can get towards your goals. And again, that also might look completely different. Okay. And it's not something that, everyone has to eat this way, everyone has to eat that way. What are your preferences? What is your budget? What's your challenges? All of that stuff is stuff we take into account because, again, we want this to be sustainable. We don't want this to be just something that you go on for a little bit, then go off and then go on and go off, because, again, that becomes a very challenging thing to go back and forth. Now, those are the first 2 ones that, again, people focus on fitness and nutrition, but a lot of people miss the mindset quests. So slaying those internal dragons, as it were, learning key practices to reduce stress, maintain that consistency, and overcome challenges is so important. Again, if it was just a matter of having a solid workout plan and a solid nutrition plan, you can get that on the internet, no problem, easy. But getting the mindset dialed in as well too, the way you talk about yourself, the way your relationship, with your body, with food, things like that. This is all falling into that mindset bucket, and it is super important. And honestly, it's a very overlooked key, I think, in many cases. And then the 4th and final pillar to the Nerd Fitness approach is sustainable, healthy habits. So you might have intentions and actions for your fitness, for your nutrition, and for your mindset, but are you able to actually build those habits? Are you actually able to make it consistent and sustainable? So we want to be able to build things that last and build the systems to support that as well too, without yo-yoing, without guilt and shame, without frustration. So all those together can really, really help drive you to your goals a lot faster, a lot more fun than if you're only focusing on 2, which again, we tend to see a lot of. So in Nerd Fitness coaching, you and your coach, as you jump into things, first thing you'll do is just a portion of discovery. Like, again, we want to make sure that coaching fits you. It's not just something, okay, here's a cookie cutter program. No, absolutely not. We want to be able to take a snapshot and really dig on in, your current habits, your superpowers, because everyone has a superpower. Even if you're like starting off your fitness journey, you know what, I can't do anything, but you know what, you might be really well organized at work, or you might, be a great community support. These are all things that we can work into our fitness and nutrition plans to help reach our goals. So we take stock in all that, we discover everything there so that we're able to have the most personalized routine and plan for you. So after that moment of discovery, we strategize. So personalized workout plan and nutritional guidance from your coach. So again, it's not something that is just, here's what we give everyone. No, it's what fits best for you with your schedule, with your likes, with your dislikes. And then we build those systems as well too. So again, that accountability, that support is hugely important to keep things going as well too. So we make sure to set those systems up so that you're always feeling that support. You're always feeling that feedback time and time again. And that's through messaging, that's through form check videos, a lot of different things like that that will help you just, again, build that system into your day-to-day life. And then, of course, no one gets it right the first time. And of course, things change, honestly. Maybe you've changed goals, maybe you've hit a goal and now you want a different goal. we always think about adjusting as well too. Okay, so we set up the systems, we set up the direction we're going, but it's always up for conversation. It's always up for adjustment as necessary, and being able to adjust in that way as well too, whether it's a big adjustment to a goal, or whether it's just small adjustments to challenges, like, oh, you know what, I'm traveling these next 2 weeks, what can I do? I've got a certain family situation that's going to change my schedule. Being able to navigate these day-to-day challenges with confidence is also very important in what you can do with your coach as well too. And then, of course, you're going to be leveling up, achieving your goals, celebrating progress, figuring out what's possible. Your coach can let you know as well too. And boom, you bring it right back around and just continue that cycle and over again, building that health wealth, building those abilities. So all the things I just said, and you level up. Like Axel, for instance, Nerd Fitness Nerd Fitness client. He had the self-reported alcohol and pizza diet. He was feeling a bit down, a bit depressed, and he had actually injured his knees when he was working out himself. So it wasn't that he wasn't trying to do anything. He was trying to do something, but just clearly a little bit off direction. His after picture, again, absolutely crazy. But I think, again, his quote is the best thing here, which is, yes, you can just Google most things, but a coach adapts to you. Again, just like I said before, coaching, they adapt, and it becomes so much easier when you have someone helping you out. And that's exactly what it's all about. You can go about this by yourself, but all those struggles become very frustrating. Having that support, having that expertise to be able to adjust, adapt, and overcome, super important, and you can see the results from there. Now, in terms of coaching, next question, of course, people always ask is, how much will this cost me? I think the first thing to ask before that is how much the in-person personal trainer costs. So again, I did this for a decade before Nerd Fitness. And in terms of the cost of in-person personal trainer, you're talking about $60 to $100 an hour, depending on the market. And if you're looking at maybe 4 times a month for the in-person personal trainer, you're looking at $240 to $400 a month. And again, that's fine. This works for some people. It's great. They've got the expendable income for that one, no problem. But again, it can get pricey. If you go twice a week, again, nothing too crazy. I had clients when I was working in person that came sometimes 3 to 4 times a week. Again, people do this, but you can see how the cost quickly adds up. And again, that might not be in everyone's capacity at the moment. Now, with the in-person personal trainer as well, you get support in the gym. Obviously, you're there, you go to the session, you do your work and whatnot. But a lot of times with in-person personal trainers, there's no support outside the gym. You go home and you want to talk with them, you might not be able to do that, or that might be an add-on. It might be extra cost past that. Nutritional mindset guidance, you might get it, or it might be another add-on. It might be something else that you have to pay for. So not always included, even with a price of $100 an hour. And this is a big one as well too. Working out on your own time, no, you have to go and meet the trainer in person. So if you've got a really busy schedule, if you're a parent, if you travel a lot, if you've got a high stress job, that can be really hard to get to those sessions as well too. Or you'll be doing them before or after work. So 5 a.m. workouts, 7, 8 p.m. workouts, it can really stretch your day out. It can be really challenging. So yes, they work for some people, but it's not always necessarily the best option for everyone. Compared to Nerd Fitness Coaching, you have support in the gym with the personalized workouts and with those video form checks. Everyone's got their phone on them. We can set it on up, send some videos over. Hey, am I doing this right? Hey, this felt weird. Can you take a look at it? No problem. So you've got that support. Again, that value is already fantastic. You'll have support outside the gym as well too with regular messaging. So with the Nerd Fitness Coaching, we do what we call asynchronous messaging. So think about sending texts back and forth or emails back and forth with your coach. So you can send them a message literally any time of the day. If you wake up in the middle of the night and you have a thought about something, send it over to your coach. If you're having some sort of struggle, send it to your coach, and they will get back to you within a business day and be able to support you again outside the gym. So it's not just a matter of the workout, it's a matter of the support in between the workouts as well too. And of course, as we mentioned before, as part of the Nerd Fitness approach, we talk about nutrition and mindset guidance as well too. Super important, and they all come together. Those 4 pillars really come together to actually be able to help you achieve your goals. And then, of course, I think it's invaluable to be able to work out on your own time. So yes, you go to the gym at the same time every day if you want, but if you're traveling, if you have a busy schedule, whatever it might be, you can work out anytime you want. And you don't have to miss it just because you missed an in-person session with someone else. So absolutely invaluable. Also, 5 a.m. workouts, I've never liked them. So I don't know how everyone else feels, but very not good in my books. So we are getting, just from all this, $1,000+ value each and every month in Nerd Fitness coaching. But you're not going to pay $1,000. The entire Nerd Fitness coaching program, it only costs $197 a month. So less than the cost of 2 personal training sessions in some markets. You're going to get an entire month, personalized workouts, nutrition, guidance in between workout sessions, so much for a great price. Or you can invest yourself further with semi and annual plans as well too, where you can save a ton of money. And that actually breaks down to only $165 or $150 a month, respectively, if you go a semi or annual plan. So a lot of people, they go, you know what? I know I'm going to be doing this more than a month. I want to put in the work for 6 months. I want to put in the work for a year, whatever it is. I want to really kind of put my money down on the table, as it were. That is something that, again, we see that, and we see you, and we reward that with an adjusted monthly fee. So fantastic on that one, and a lot of different options there for a lot of different people. All right, special bonuses. Talked about this at the start. We are getting to the bonus training if you're sticking around for that, so no worries there. But the special bonuses, first 10 people who schedule a call and sign up for Nerd Fitness coaching, they will receive a free Nerd Fitness t-shirt. So I don't know which way, if it's up or down to where I'm talking, but in the video description, we have a link right now where you can schedule your call. You might not call it, you might not talk to them today. The call might be scheduled later, but if you do schedule a call, if you're one of the first 10 people, you will receive a Nerd Fitness t-shirt if you sign up for coaching. I think it adds 10 to your strength stats. They're always great. I love mine. I wear them all the time. But again, a nice little fun thing, and a great thing to wear for a workout. So in addition, you'll also receive our video bonus bundle so you can make the most out of your coaching. So we understand that coaching is an investment, right? It's something that, okay, I am putting time and resources into this right now. And we absolutely respect that. And we want to make sure that you can get the most out of coaching. We hear that time and time again. How do I get the most out of coaching? This video bonus bundle is going to help you with that. So helpful, a lot of different things with that. The video bonus bundle. First off, first part of it is the Valley of Disappointment. We talked about that earlier in the webinar, the full training for the Valley of Disappointment. So I talked a little bit about it, what it means, about, I'm putting in so much work, but, how do I, kind of get through that initial disappointment that oftentimes happens. We've got the full video there, super helpful in that regard. The next part of the video bonus bundle is a pressure gauge system, okay? Pressure gauge system, this is something that our coaches talk about as well too, and this is all about the adjustment, okay? I talked about adjustment with you and your coach. There are so many times when you'll have a day where it is just absolutely crazy, and what you wanted to do with your workout, with your nutrition, completely goes out the window. The pressure gauge system helps you adapt to that. Super helpful, super valuable, and a part of the bonus bundle. We also have the Nerd Fitness Anti-Challenge. Now, the Anti-Challenge, we were, again, tired of those challenges, especially on the New Year's of, do this for 30 days, do this for whatever. These really hard, restrictive, unsustainable challenges. These things, again, just we saw people time and time again burn themselves out and just not really get progress, just yo-yo back and forth. So we made the Nerd Fitness Anti-Challenge that helps you really set up some automatic systems to help keep things going beyond just a 30-day challenge. So a lot of fun. We had a great time with that one. That is part of the video bonus bundle. And then very last one is a power-up coaching call. That is with myself and head of coaching, Coach Taylor. Now with this one, we talk about what we see time and time again with the people that come into the coaching program that see success. So there's the old saying, success leaves clues. We let you know in that video what we see time and time again. So next steps to join. As I mentioned, there's a link in the video description. You can click on the link around this video and schedule a clarity call with our Nerd Fitness team member. They'll talk with you, answer any other questions, and help you get started. Now, this is one of those things. The call itself can be so helpful. We hear this also time and time again. We are not high pressure. We are just looking to see if the program is right for you, and you can ask any questions as well too. But time and time again, we hear that just talking with someone about, my goals, my challenges, that itself is super helpful and very valuable itself. So again, I highly recommend, if you're even thinking, no, maybe I want to do a call, definitely jump on one. And again, make yourself eligible for a shirt. Also, again, we know this is an investment. If you are unhappy within the first 30 days, hey, no problem. We want to give you your money back. We want to make sure that this is something that you want to do. We don't want to lock you into something, trick you, anything like that. So again, you're not happy, that's fine. We understand that Nerd Fitness coaching might not be for everyone. So no strict contracts, no secret cancellation fees. You can stop whenever you want, but most people stay a year or more. I've had people well longer than that. Can you say the same about a gym membership? In-person personal trainer? Probably not. There are so many little fine print items that is just, again, you feel like you have to move and go into the witness relocation program to get away from them. Clients, in terms of staying around for a year or more, clients like Megan. So Megan, and you'll see in a bit with the after picture, she lost a ton of weight herself, but then she wanted to do a pull-up and run and get strong. She's also a busy mother as well, too. With Megan, though, this is the perfect example of motivation past her weight loss goals. So you'll see when I hit the next slide, she's hit her weight loss goals, but then she's like, what now? What now? Okay, now I want to get stronger. I want to see what my new body's capable of. So again, absolutely amazing results. She's put in a ton of work, but she said, as she jumped into the Nerd Fitness coaching program then and said, I can say with absolute certainty that I wouldn't be in the place I am without the coaching program. I learned so much about what my body is capable of and how to continue to challenge it through this process. So again, exactly what we've been talking about today in terms of signs of progress. Just having a weight loss goal, again, can only get you so far. And if you hit that goal, what's carrying you forward? Megan realized that very quickly. And again, working with her coach to just do a ton of awesome things. So join your fitness coach ASAP to unlock your free bonuses that I already mentioned. And of course, you'll schedule a call for a free t-shirt and a video bonus bundle in that regard. So again, $197 a month, but you're getting over $1,000 in value each and every month. Now, if you are not going to be sticking around for the bonus training, thank you so much for sitting in and watching this webinar and joining me today. It's been an absolute pleasure. Again, you'll see the links in the video description to click and sign up for a call or to click and learn a little bit more about the coaching program if you've still got some questions. I would, again, recommend a call because a live person can answer your questions much quicker. But again, that's all in the video description. If you're sticking around for the bonus training, let's get right into that as well, too. Get some water as well because we've been going for a bit. Bonus training. Now, avoiding weigh-in pitfalls, okay? So there's a couple things that we see time and time again in terms of when people do use the scale for a tool that we wanted to make sure we just talked about as we're talking about just progress, markers of progress. The first one, and I think this is the most important one, should not come as a surprise. Your weight does not define who you are, okay? Your weight does not define who you are. Whether it's gone up, down, stayed the same, whatever it might be. Your weigh-in does not tell how you are as a parent, as a friend, as a person, okay? It is not some sort of moral judge. If it is, we don't want it. It's a data point to be used as information. Now, I know this is a lot easier said than done. You're like, yeah, sure, Jim, whatever. I still beat myself up. But remind yourself of this. I put this as point number one for a reason, because time and time again, we use it as a way to determine, oh, I'm a good person, I'm a bad person. No, absolutely not, okay? Think of it as a data point, nothing more. All right, on to best practice number 2, and this is hand in hand with best practice number 1. Weigh in when you're in a good headspace, okay? So if you are using the scale as a tool, and if it's going to send you into a bit of a spiral, that might not be the best tool at that time. Scale is a tool. Like any tool, we use it when it's helpful and when we're capable, okay? I'm going to stumble through a maybe possibly awkward, weird analogy, but you wouldn't use a chainsaw to open a letter while you're drinking. And by that, I mean, if I'm opening a letter and I'm using a chainsaw, that's not the right tool for it. And I'm also no capacity to use that tool. So again, the scale is one tool. If it's not going to work well for us, then don't use it, okay? It is not the only marker of progress, as you've learned over the past hour. We have lots of other markers of progress that you should look at and celebrate. Again, don't just hang your hat on only the scale. Best practice number 3, don't obsess over causes for upward swings. So you can see all these are mindset related because the scale can be very charged for a lot of people. So you've been working hard, you've been, getting in your workouts, you've been getting in your nutrition, all this stuff like that, and you step on the scale and it doesn't say what you want it to say. It goes upwards. What can you do? What tends to happen a lot? If you tend to find yourself saying, if I'd only done this, or, why didn't I do that? Then absolutely stop, okay? because that sort of mindset, that sort of self conversation is just absolutely negative. The shoulds and the onlys, they bring about guilt and they leave no room for self-compassion. So we already talked about how important self-compassion is in terms of changing, right? We can't hate ourselves to change, or we can't do it for a long period of time. So if you find yourself saying that, like, oh, if I only hadn't had that bite of this or that drink of that, no, back up, keep self-compassion in your mind first and foremost. All right, best practice number 4, we'll keep on ripping through them. Understand that the weight will naturally fluctuate. Okay. This is another thing as well, too. If you remember back to the other slide about like, we think weight loss is going to go down like this. It will go up and down with challenges, but it will go up and down naturally as well, too. So weight may actually fluctuate 2 to 5 pounds a day. So that's 1 to 2.2 kilos for everyone else, for a variety of reasons that I'll cover right now. 1, water weight, especially if you've had a higher sodium or higher carb meal recently. So again, if you have some pizza, you're going to retain a bit more water than normal. And that weigh-in the next day is going to be a lot different than if you didn't have that. That's not some reason to berate yourself, but it's just something to keep in mind. Okay. So that, again, the weight will fluctuate. Menstrual cycle. You probably have already seen this as well, too, but the weight will go up during certain times of the month. And again, that's something to keep in mind as well, too. So take note of it. Feel free to log it in terms of what the weight is, but understand that it will fluctuate. Stress. Stress changes a lot of things in our body, and that will also cause us to retain weight as well, too. And then on the same note, sleep. So if our sleep is a little bit off, that will also fluctuate our weight as well, too. So this means best practice number 5, don't make big adjustments and decisions based on one weigh-in. Okay. So you had pizza, it's a certain time of the month, you're stressed, you sleep's a little bit weird, whatever it might be, and the weight doesn't, pop in, how you think it should, and it's not the number you want. If you make a huge decision, you make a huge adjustment, you might be making an adjustment that's not good in the long term. Okay. So making adjustments and decisions based on one weigh-in, not so good. I call it day trading. So if you think about how weight might go up and down on when you graph it out, people tend to, again, make quick adjustments day to day. Quit day trading with your weigh-in. The hypothetical question I have here is, would you dump this stock? This stock right here I have a picture of, it's kind of zigzagging and kind of going downwards. That would, it's going in the wrong direction. Would you dump this stock if it went in the wrong direction for one day? If my scale went in the wrong direction for one day, would I say, oh, forget it, this plan is done, I need to find a new plan, I need to do this and that, I need to berate myself? Hopefully not, right? We don't want to do that, because if you dumped this stock just because it went in the wrong direction, or you change your plan because it went in the wrong direction, that was Apple stock on a bad day in 2016, okay? Just as a frame of reference. So what we want to do instead of making that rash decision on one weigh-in, beating ourselves up, look for the long-term trends and averages, okay? Works for stocks, works for our weigh-ins. Look for the long-term trends and averages. So that means best practice number 6. Weigh in 1 to 2 times a week to see those long-term trends and averages, okay? And again, we'll talk about, again, if doing that sets you off, again, back to the other best practices, make sure you're only using the scale if it's a helpful tool. But in terms of just helpful frequency amount in terms of the weigh-ins, if you weigh in every single day, this might be stressful for a lot of people, okay? Some people can do it, no problem whatsoever, fine, but understand it's not necessary and it can cause added stress. So just throwing that out there if that is what you currently do. On the flip side, weighing in every other week or less than that, it won't honestly give us enough data to adjust our actions, because there's a lot that can happen in between 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever it might be once a month. So that's a little, not frequent enough in terms of every other week. So that kind of sweet spot in the middle of weighing in 1 to 2 times a week is generally a good frequency to get enough helpful information so that we can adjust as necessary. So that's what we found. So going on to some of the other best practices, put the scale on a flat, hard surface and wear the same or similar clothes, or maybe you're free as a bird, maybe you've got your underwear on, whatever it might be, but look for the same sort of stuff. In terms of the scale on a flat, hard surface, I've seen time and time again people weigh in with the scale on carpet, And that can make a big difference in terms of what it is, depending on how the scale is moving on that carpet. And of course, if you're wearing, one day I'm wearing, pants and shirt, the next day I'm wearing underwear, whatever, it's going to be wildly different. What we're trying to do here in terms of best practices for the weigh-in is keep as many variables constant as we can. So definitely helpful there and something to keep in mind. On the same sort of note of keeping the variables as constant as possible, weigh in first thing in the morning. So something else that changes around a lot, of course, is the amount of food going through our digestive system. So if we can account for that as much as possible, it is also going to give us better data over time. Eat a live frog first thing every morning and nothing worse will happen to you the rest of the day. This is a sort of a funny way of saying that the weigh-in might be the worst thing for some people in the morning. But the point is, get it done in the morning and take your weight after your first bathroom break, but before you have anything to eat or drink. Okay. So again, trying to control variables as much as possible. I've got, everything out from the day. My digestive system is relatively clear, but I haven't drank anything. I haven't had my breakfast or whatever it might be. That is going to give us a little bit more of the most valid numbers that we take for our weigh-ins. And best practice number 9, understand sustainable rates of weight loss. Okay, so this is the last one here. Now, we talked about progress and whatnot before. In terms of progress and sustainable rates of weight loss, again, if these numbers start to just kind of set you off or just put you in a bad headspace, then don't use them. Do whatever you need to do, focus on the other signs of progress. But in terms of just things that we've seen and things that the scientific studies support, first, in terms of these long-term rates of weight loss, first thing to keep in mind is that it's natural for the body to immediately drop a few pounds of weight when you're first starting any sort of routine. That can be due to any number of things: water weight, change in the digestive tract. So if you start a new routine and you immediately drop a couple of pounds, don't take that into consideration right now. Look for averages. Remember those long-term averages and trends. Look for these averages after a couple of weeks. So after you're in kind of the flow of things, you're consistent with your workouts, your nutrition, whatever it might be, then start looking at these averages that I'm about to go over. Okay. So average weight loss per week, an extreme and unsustainable level. And I'll talk about a lot of different reasons why this is not good. If you're losing 1 to 1.5 pounds of body weight each week, and again, this is after you've, into a couple of weeks, not always the best. Again, a little extreme, and there's a lot of problems with that are actually detrimental to many people's goals. A more reasonable rate of weight loss would be 0.5 to 1% of your body weight per week. If you're just starting off, maybe a little bit closer to the 0.5, but that range tends to be a little bit more reasonable. It works for a lot of different reasons in that regard. Now, what you might also note already with this is if you've got, if you've got a little bit more to lose, then it might be a little bit easier to lose this amount, and it's going to be bigger jumps. Whereas if you have a lot less to lose and you're, maybe a little bit smaller statured, then it's going to be a much smaller change in terms of body weight each week in that regard. And then comfortable, we would call a comfortable weight comfortable rate anything that's less than 0.5% of body weight per week. Now, that's not bad. It's comfortable, but there's also some issues, and I'll talk about that. There's some issues in that regard as well too. So if we talk about an extreme, that 1% to 1.5%, first off, that for a lot of people, that tends to be a huge drop in calories. So we're really miserable. We tend to be exhausted. We don't even want to do anything, and we're supposed to work out as well too. Are you kidding me? Again, you can see why it's just it's not sustainable. And I think this is the most important part. You're like, well, who cares? I can grit it out. I'll just cut my calories in half for a couple of weeks. Who cares? You're much more likely to lose a lot of muscle mass. Okay, and I think a lot of people, in terms of working out and changing themselves, they don't want to just be a smaller version of themselves. They want to be able to transform their body in some ways. And if you are losing a lot of muscle mass as you're losing weight overall, then again, you'll just look like a smaller version of yourself. Whereas for most people, they just want to be able to lose the body fat around their body. So cutting too fast is not fun. It'll make you cranky, and it just doesn't really get us where we want to go. So going super fast and reckless like this, just not the way. Now, that reasonable rate, 0.5% to 1%, we can lose weight while maintaining a good amount of muscle, especially if we are keeping protein up and keeping our workouts up. So we give the muscle a reason to stick around even while we were in a hypocaloric state. Okay. So that reasonable rate, 0.5 to 1%, again, is a good sweet spot for a lot of people. Again, whether you're closer to 0.5 or closer to 1, again, can be based on a lot of different things, but somewhere around there tends to be pretty good for most people. Now, the comfortable one though, you're like, hey, you know what? I just want to keep it nice and easy, 0.5% or less than 0.5% body weight per week. That's fine with me. It doesn't matter. I'll go bit by bit. The challenges with this and the problems with this though, a couple things. One, it might be challenging to see changes. So if you are working, if you're weighing in once or twice a week and you're getting such a tiny little adjustment and you're still trying to cut calories, then it might be hard to see, hey, you know what? Am I actually losing weight? Do I need to adjust? I'm not quite sure, because the changes you might weigh in on a slightly heavier day or whatever it might be. So the adjustments just might not be accurate. Not to mention the process is going to take forever. If I want to lose a certain amount of weight and I'm going just tiny little bits, and do I want to do that, twice as long as I need to? Probably not. If I can just increase the rate of weight loss just a little bit more to the reasonable level, I can get things done a little bit more quicker, and I can go back to a maintenance level of calories. So comfortable feels like, oh, why not? It's comfortable. It should be good. But it has a lot of problems in that regard of just seeing if we're adjusting things, if we're actually making a difference, and no one wants to be on some sort of diet or weight loss cut for forever. So, all right. So that was a lot of weight loss best practices. We had a lot of stuff, of course, with the signs, the no scale signs of progress. Fantastic. A lot of great comments. I will be answering any other questions in the comments tonight and a little bit tomorrow as well too. So please feel free to drop them in. Thank you for your time. And remember, of course, schedule your call. Again, those 10 shirts are going to go by fast. So make sure you jump in on that. Click on the link around the video and talk with our Nerd Fitness team. Again, as I mentioned time and time again, there is so much value in just that call, in just talking through how you're doing, what your goals are, what your challenges are, because there's so many times we never get a chance to even say those things out loud, let alone to someone who is qualified to give feedback and give thoughts on there. They'll listen to your goals and challenges. They'll answer any questions. And if Nerd Fitness Coaching, if you feel it's right for you, welcome, and we'll help you get started. Again, first 10 people get the Nerd Fitness t-shirt, as I mentioned, and everyone, even if you miss out on the shirt, everyone's going to receive that video bonus bundle, which will level up your entire experience. Again, you're not just stepping in there completely blind, like, oh, I don't know what to do. No, you're going to get so much great information from the video bundle to be able to help and get the most out of that coaching. So Nerd Fitness Coaching, as I mentioned, schedule your call. I'm going to kind of end it with the quote from Mason, and then I'll actually show a quick before and after with Mason as well too. But I love this quote as well too from Mason about his coaching experience. He said, coaching made me feel accountable to my schedule. Someone else would know if I didn't do my workout for the day, but I was never made to feel ashamed or guilty. It was only nonstop encouragement. Okay. That is so important. That's what we're all about here at Nerd Fitness. We're not about shaming you to change. We're not about, making you feel guilty or anxious. There's enough of that. And people do that more than well enough themselves. We want to make you feel fun. We want to make you feel accepted. This is what Nerd Fitness is all about. We want you to have fun moving around, figuring out what your body's capable of. That's what we're all about. Now, Mason himself, he is a chemistry grad student, which means he is busy, absolutely busy. And I'm sure a lot of you on this call can commiserate with that. You really busy schedule, really chaotic schedule. He also always felt overwhelmed starting any fitness routine. So again, there's no shortage of information, but he still was, we had a great interview with him on YouTube. I'll link it afterwards. And he mentioned like he would grab a workout routine, and it would be a beginner workout routine, but even that would feel way beyond his capacity. And he's like, it says beginner, but it's telling me to do things that are way outside my wheelhouse. What do I do? What do I do? That's why, again, he needed and really benefited from the expertise of coaching, so that that coach could say, hey, you know what? Maybe we want to start off here and adjust slightly. And this is going to be much better for you and meet you where you're at, rather than trying to force you into something that is, not quite what's good for you. So he was always feeling overwhelmed. But you can see clearly, again, not only, of course, is there physical change, but again, the confidence, the adjustment, that he made to his whole life was fantastic. And his quote here, I think one of the bigger victories is just how much confidence I've gained in myself, which has been really, really satisfying to develop. that's what we're all here for, is just building up your strength, building up the strength in yourself, building up the confidence in yourself, and just having fun with this whole thing. So thank you again, everyone, for joining me. We had a great time here. Feel free to rewatch any parts that you missed. Again, links for everything are in the video description. I'll be answering a couple questions, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. All right, stay strong, stay nerdy. See ya.